congratulations. I know the show, like the filming process and stuff has been over for a while, but it is cool to see it airing in the States and getting a lot of the fan feedback for what season four is doing. But, I want to talk about episode eight specifically, just because, we see Dr. Curtis accepting this role in Cleveland. And I'm just curious, as through her journey, I'm always wondering, because she's so technically sound and like a capable surgeon, but what is like missing in her life that she thinks she'll find in Cleveland, when in your opinion?
That's actually a really good question. I see what you're doing here. I think June has a habit of, constantly looking forward as to like what the next step is going to be, especially career-wise, what she needs to do next to get to where she thinks she needs to be, what the next step is upwards, forwards. I think there's a lack of a lack of, I think she's struggling to find that satisfaction in her work that you see a lot of the other characters having. And I think that that's characteristic of a lot of very successful people. That's what drives a lot of successful people forward. Um, and so the most successful people are not always necessarily the happiest people because, they're lacking in that fulfillment. So I think that this, is checking all the boxes for her. This job is really kind of, it looks, it's, I think she's accepting this job because it represents everything that she's been working towards. It's kind of like this is the landing place. This is supposed to be the place that's going to offer that satisfaction that she's been chasing. And I think it also provides an escape. I think that she feels a little bit kind of like she's coming up against a wall on some personal issues and some emotional issues. She's never been the greatest at, you know, moving towards those things and confronting those things and working towards them. She's more likely to try to avoid them and leave them in the background somewhere, where she can't see them. And I think that this subconsciously or consciously allows her to also do that, to kind of leave behind whatever it is she's struggling to figure out, whatever she feels she hasn't been able to do, and move forward.
In this episode, there's a pretty tragic loss for the show, right? And looking back, how could audience like do you feel like audiences reacted appropriately? Do you feel like it was like tragic for them when it first happened as well? Because I know American audiences haven't seen this episode yet, so just like kind of teasing what's to come, I guess, for our audiences. How can you speak to that?
Well, if they feel anything like how I felt about it when I found out, they're not gonna be too happy. Oh, I don't even know how do I explain this. It's realistic. You know what I mean? It doesn't necessarily give that sense of completion or fulfillment that we all like to get out of the things that we do.
Yeah.
Um, but this show has never really been that, so I think that it's on brand.
No, totally. I think I got the pleasure of speaking to Hamza recently, and something that I loved chatting about with him is that like every character feels very fully fleshed out, very three-dimensional. And especially, from a selfish standpoint as a person of color, I love seeing that, like people taking these leading roles and dealing with real things like mental health and immigration status and all that. Um,
Yeah.
when you reflect, this is more retrospectively now, just because it is a feat to get multiple seasons of a show to play a character over a course of multiple years. How do you reflect on the journey as a whole and the stories and messages you got to tell as June Curtis?
I think that that's one of the things that I loved about this character is that Joe really, like you said, he wrote three-dimensional characters. He wrote real life scenarios. He was never really preoccupied with giving people what they wanted. He was always more focused and committed to telling the story of what it is. And you can feel however you feel about it, but this is what it is. This is the story and this is the experience. And so I feel really grateful about that. I feel really happy about it. I never felt like I was hired to portray some, you know, like some. Sometimes you get breakdowns for stuff, and you really feel like you were hired to play the black woman, and that's
Mm.
supposed to mean something, and you can almost predict what that's supposed to mean. And I never got that feeling from this show. I never got that feeling from Joe. I got the feeling that I was hired to play a person who was having a series of experiences. And I always felt like this character could easily have been kind of shifted into a male character. This character could have been shifted into being a character of another race, because the foundation of June is one of human experience, and that's has been the case for, with all of the characters, I think, where we're all really telling human stories and human experiences, which makes it extremely relatable. And I really value that because um, one of the things that I hope for or hope to see more of, or hope to for us all to have more of, is just a general sense of understanding and empathy and connection to one another based on our humanness and our human experiences. And so, yeah, I feel really grateful to have been part of a show that prioritized that.
I had heard in another interview that you did that when you auditioned for this role, you sent in 28 takes. Is
Yeah,
that is that right?
yeah.
I'm just curious, just because first of all, that's like a very bold move. I commend you for that. But like when you do something like that, I imagine you have a lot of instinct as an actor of who this character is on paper. But how did that change over time? Like how much of you did you inject into June, and how much did were you guided by your filmmakers and the supporting staff on this project?
The only way that I know how to act is to bring my own experiences and my own emotional, sensibilities to a situation. That's all I know. So that's always the first thing that I do is I tried my best to understand, on a deep emotional level, who the character is. I don't always like who the character is. I don't always agree with it, but I can relate to it. And these are sometimes parts of myself that I don't like too much. I'm not too proud of, or that I don't necessarily want the whole world knowing about, but they're real, and I value that. And I feel like Joe wrote a character in June and in all of us, for all of us, but we're talking about June right now, that allowed me to explore all of those things. A lot of stuff that was challenging for me as Ayisha, a lot of character stuff that I knew was easy for me to play because I could relate to it,
Mhm.
but I also had some insecurity about playing because I knew that this was coming from real parts of myself, so that was an interesting experience and a very valuable one. But also Joe had this ability to what felt like it just felt like he really trusted and respected who he hired
Mhm.
to play these characters, and he was constantly kind of taking from who we are. um, so it's almost like as the seasons evolved, it almost became easier, even though he was presenting these different scenarios and he was pushing us and challenging us emotionally. At least for me, for sure he was. It felt like he was doing it in a way that felt like a natural progression. Like I could totally be on board with the direction these things were going in because they felt real to me. They felt realistic. I was never pushed to make changes within the character in a way that didn't feel realistic or normal or natural to me, and I was able to have those conversations. So, so yeah, those are all kind of part of how all that came together.
I do love kind of the approach and openness about the anxiety, and like you having ADHD. Like it really resonates with me. But before I leave, you do a lot of really cool stuff from like stunts and like martial arts. I think I saw on your Instagram you dirt bike ride too. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
But
it started.
I I'm someone who operates better when I have too much going on. So my question to you as I leave is, what do you have going on next? Like what's coming up down the pipeline?
Oh my gosh. Good question. Well, during the last season of the show, I graduated from college finally, so now I have my diploma in interior design. Thank you. Which has always been a passion of mine. I've been wanting to explore like maybe doing a docu-series about what it looks like for an actor who's, kind of spent so much time and energy committing to building a career in one direction to move into a completely different field
Mm.
and learn something in your 40s. I think so many of us have career changes or want to have career changes. So I'd love to just like pick something and then document the process of like falling and failing my way through it. Um, I'm currently dealing with a bunch of health issues that came up, and stuff that ironically could affect my fertility and things like that. And so I've been talking to some people close to me about maybe doing a podcast and sharing the process of learning about these things, what they mean, and then healing a lot of this stuff, working with some really interesting doctors and professionals and things like that. So I thought maybe that could be something interesting to do. And then, of course, acting has this way of just like popping up, showing back in your life and taking things over for 5, 6 years at a time, making you play a doctor on TV that you didn't think you were going to play. So that could always happen too. I'm open to that as well. So we'll see how it goes.
Amazing. Well, I wish you the best of luck with all that. I mean, it sounds like there's a lot of purpose behind those moves. So I send you the best wishes and congratulations again on season 4, the end of the show. I have seen all of it, so it it is sad to see it go. But hopefully you have closure. Hopefully audiences have closure as well. But thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you as well.